Welcome to Hired Up, the podcast for next-level executives and board nominees. We strive for that win-win for all, from navigating the hidden job market to finding confidence to go for what you want at any age, or simply to go out and get yourself hired up. And we especially love helping successful executives make exciting career moves that let them be leading heroes at home, not just at the office. So if any of these challenges are ahead for you, visit us at westgatecareercoaching.com.
This is Maureen Farmer, and I am the CEO and founder of Westgate Executive Branding and Career Consulting. And it's my extreme pleasure today to have Morris Stemp with me. Morris is partner, finance and operations, interim and fractional CFO and COO. Morris is from New York City and has industry experience in healthcare, technology, and SaaS. And his expertise is in finance, accounting, financial strategy, and transaction support. I'm just going to read a little bit from Morris's lovely website here. Morris Stemp is a finance, operations, and technology executive who assists New York area healthcare, technology, and SaaS startups and growing companies as an interim and fractional CFO and COO. So I can't wait to talk about the fractional piece. He is a dedicated, energetic, customer-focused leader who leads from behind through his personal core values of creativity, excellence, adventure, and growth. Morris is an International Coach Federation certified executive and leadership coach with an action-oriented mentorship mindset. His unique performance-oriented wacky red glasses culture focused on wisdom, accountability, creativity, knowledge, and innovation drives highly engaged teams to achieve high levels of business growth. Morris is skilled at recognizing patterns. That's a really interesting skill set. Morris is skilled at recognizing patterns, understanding operational flows, and integrating systems into existing work environments. He has distinguished himself as a nationally recognized expert in the selection, evaluation, implementation of integrated accounting, payroll, manufacturing, and office productivity systems across industries. He delivers sustainable outcomes with no ho-hum solutions. During his distinguished career, Morris served as the CFO of Slingshot Health, a healthcare marketplace startup with over 30 employees. He was hired by the CEO to design integrations with EHR systems. He quickly expanded that role to lead business analytics, internal accounting, financial projections and modeling, cash flow management, human resources, performance management, HIPAA compliance, and stockholder communication. He was also founder and partner, serving as a COO, CFO, and Chief Culture Officer of Stratex IT Solutions. Stratex was formed from the merger of Stemp Solutions and a healthcare-focused local MSP. Morris was responsible for the successful integration of the two companies' systems, operations, and culture, and grew the combined entity to $10 million and 70 employees. Before that, Morris was the founder and CEO of Stemp Systems Group, an IT consulting and outsourced technical support organization which delivered IT services to clients not large enough to warrant their own IT department, yet had extensive ongoing IT needs. He grew the business to $4 million and 40 staff, and his clients included a nursing home management client with over 5,000 users and 400 nursing homes in the U.S. Morris earlier began his career as a senior accountant and consultant with Pete Warwick Mitchell & Co., now KPMG in New York City. And one of the things that both Morris and I have a great deal of common interest in is employee engagement. And with that, I'd love for you, Morris, to tell us a little bit about what you're doing now specifically.
Well, thank you, Maureen, for that wonderful introduction. What I'm doing now is really I'm in my dream job. I get to explore with clients and to use this hybrid range of skills that you read about. And those skills are in people, process, and technology, and to bring those skills to growing clients. What I'm doing now, for example, is one client is a $5 to $7 billion broker-dealer clearinghouse, and I am working on a consolidation system in support of their audit. So I'm actually using all of my CPA skills that I really haven't used in the last 30 years, but I'm using my technology skills and my Excel expertise to design a system that's extremely flexible and scalable, so that moving forward into subsequent years, the system is just going to automatically adapt for them.
So I'd love to ask you a little bit about the Excel. I know a little bit about your skill set in this area, but I'd love for you to give the listener a good crystal clear picture of how you can use Excel to help businesses grow and scale. Because I think when people think of Excel, they think of something that is fairly, not powerful. But the way you use it is really quite powerful, isn't it?
Correct. So, I've interviewed hundreds of people, both for my company as well as for hiring on behalf of my clients. And whenever you speak to somebody about Excel, and you ask them, well, how good are you in Excel? And everybody says they're an Excel expert. So there are lots of levels to using Excel. And what I try to do with Excel, short of writing macros in Excel, is to really design Excel so that it can be a system, so that it's scalable. And as you expand it from its initial use and you grow into other aspects of the business, that all of the formulas that you designed automatically adjust to support that scalability. So there are various features of Excel, and one of the most important ones I use is something called indirect addressing.
Okay.
That enables you to create these scalable spreadsheets. So I encourage people when talking about their Excel expertise, is first of all not to say that you're an Excel expert. That's very common. Everybody's an Excel expert. But really to focus on how you use Excel to support the functions that you've got experience in working with. And so in this consolidation system, for example, we're consolidating like 6 or 7 different entities, and I designed it in such a way that I could turn on and off an entity in a very simple way, which allows us to focus on one entity at a time. And then once we turn on all the entities, it automatically consolidates everything together. In the same way with the elimination entries that are required, we can either include the elimination entries or not include the elimination entries simply by turning them on and off.
So for someone like me, what would the ultimate outcome of this product be? Is it a report? Is it a financial modeling that you're doing? Or what's the actual output of this consolidation of these companies or these entities rather?
The ultimate output is your basic balance sheet, your balance sheet statement, your basic report. So the ultimate output isn't what's unique about this model. It's the methodology that was used to create that ultimate output.
Right.
And in analyzing the data, this ability to turn on and off different entities was vital, and especially some of the entities have to be reported on separately. So in that case, we actually have to turn off the other entities so that we can create the financial statements for individual entities within that group.
So what's the advantage of using Excel to do this versus something off the shelf or some other type of proprietary or licensed software that would do that?
Yes, so there are definitely tools that purport to give you all of this data and can do it. And I'm not suggesting that those tools shouldn't be explored. Right now, we didn't have the time to find those tools. But even if we had found those tools, I'm not convinced that you could have achieved the flexibility that I've developed within my Excel model. And it's not just the flexibility, it's also the formatting of the financial statement and results that we're trying to get. So I think that you would have still needed Excel to do some of the work. Additionally, financial people listening to this podcast will know that there's all kinds of formulas that have to remain true. For example, the change in accumulated depreciation has to equal depreciation expense. And I'm not sure if these programs have those kinds of internal validation checks and to you where you might be wrong.
Right.
And I've built those validation checks into my model where you can actually see where those tautologies are true or not within the statements.
So does that reduce on audit or improve audit quality?
So the auditors obviously are using this model to verify the numbers, but we do a self-audit before we present it to the auditors. We don't present it to the auditors if we know these numbers don't tie out.
Of course.
So the models have this built-in feature that highlights where there might be errors in the system, and enables us then to dig deeper within the general ledger to find out where those errors are, and then to correct them via reclassification entries or whatever it might be.
And does this system require a lot of training? Like, do you have to train the team on how to use this particular approach that you've developed?
So right now I'm running it myself, and they're giving me all the entries that I'm actually posting it, although they are getting I'll say a view-only copy and using it for their own purposes. Moving forward into 2021 and beyond, I am trying to write a sufficient documentation so somebody who does have experience in Excel could carry it forward and understand what I've done. So I believe in designing the system and writing some very detailed documentation to enable people to use it. It's not an automated system. It certainly requires that, when you get a subsequent year's trial balances, that there's a lot of manual work in it. You don't just run a process. So it's designed for somebody who has Excel knowledge to be able to extend it on their own, but with minimal and ideally no changes to any formulas.
That's so interesting. So I also know that you do a lot of KPI work, key performance indicator work. And tell us a little bit about that and how your clients are using that information to make business decisions.
Sure. So I work with a lot of companies that are experiencing a little bit of chaos, and they hire me to help them upgrade their people, processes, and systems. Most of these companies, they don't have any measurement tools. And if you're coming in there promising to upgrade people, process, and systems, the goal is, of course, to improve some number, whether it's profitability, or accounts receivable turnover, sales, lower costs. So part of any engagement that I would get involved with would be to set up a baseline. All right, so what are your current revenues? How long does it take you to close a month? How many customers do you have? What's your customer concentration? Whatever KPIs are important to your business, and part of the initial engagement is to do a review of those with the CEO and the senior leadership team to look at what are the key measures that they use to evaluate the health of their business. And then as I put in the new systems and people and improve their processes, we're able to design tools that will report back on how we're doing as it relates to those foundational measures of business health. And those systems could be anything from an Excel spreadsheet to a system that's linked possibly to their QuickBooks or linked to NetSuite. There are many programs that are out there, and in the 35 years of experience that I have working with clients on financial systems, I've implemented many tools that help clients report out on the underlying data within their financial systems. So I then help my clients now choose one of these tools, and we use these in either in our weekly meetings and certainly in monthly meetings to look at how we're making progress on the key health indicators for our business. One of the things that related to this is I work with the financial teams to understand that their role isn't just to create the numbers so that they can give it to your accountant so that they can create tax returns.
Mm-hmm.
The real use of financial numbers is to use them to understand how the business is growing, and to figure out how to strategically take these numbers to improve growth and to drive growth and the health of the business. So I try to shift the focus, certainly of the small and mid-sized businesses, of the financial teams, from a focus on, all right, we need these numbers to generate our taxes, versus we need these numbers to understand how to help the business strategically grow.
Mm-hmm. The big picture.
Exactly.
Right. That's so fascinating to me, Morris. Now tell me, when an organization reaches out to you, what is their presenting problem?
I'll say chaos and the unknown. They don't know how the business is growing.
But it's growing. They just don't know how.
It's growing. Sometimes it's growing fast. And sometimes they just went through a period of fast growth and now it's slowed down. And they don't really know how they got to where they got and how to make the business continue growing. So I'll say a sense of chaos, a sense of the unknown, and they can't deliver on their sales promises. They can't get the books closed. Customers are complaining. There's internal team discord. People are blaming each other for not getting things done on time. So I guess that's just another symbol of internal chaos. So internal chaos, external chaos, things are not getting done, and the CEO doesn't really know where to turn. And generally, there is no senior level operational management within these organizations. So the CEO thought that he could be the CEO,
right,
and the COO and the main salesperson.
Right.
And you just can't play all those roles.
Right. Unless you're more a Stemp. Because
Right.
with your hybrid skills, let's talk about that a little bit, because that's a really fascinating value proposition that you bring to the table, is your understanding of all of these different strategic perspectives of an organization, given your background and the work that you've done over the last 35 years.
Yeah. After I sold my IT business, and I started to really focus on what are the core strengths that I can offer to a prospective client, and I really dug down into the roles that I played within my organization, I realized that I had this combination of skills. And in doing more research on that, I learned about that there's actually this thing called a hybrid leadership skills, and many organizations are looking for this complex, multidisciplinary combination of skills, and it's called hybrid leadership skills. So the skills that I bring to play and that I've worked with my clients over the 35 years are obviously the technologies. As an owner, manager of an IT support business, we help clients implement technology solutions for their business processes. So I have both the I'll say the raw hardware operating system level skills. I still like to play with DOS every once in a while.
That's an old terminology. I haven't heard that in a while. Disk operating system. That's old.
1986.
Yeah.
I have that raw technology skill, but
Yes.
I also have the up-to-date technology skills with both with operating systems and with all kinds of applications, and obviously all the Microsoft Office products, KPI reporting tools. So technology skills is one. Then the next skill I'd say is budgeting and cash flow management. I've designed budgeting and cash flow models for many clients, mostly in Excel, but there are a couple of tools that enable you to do that, and I've implemented some of these tools. HR and performance management. As I mentioned earlier, I've hired and fired hundreds of employees, both for myself and clients. I've written dozens of job postings, and I have a unique way of actually writing job postings now that I do for my clients also. I just don't think that the boring old job postings work anymore to attract the employees.
Oh, I agree 100%. So what are you doing different, Morris, in terms of that ad copy for job descriptions? What's different?
What's different? It's exciting. Let me see if I could find one quick one for you that it just reads differently. I'm going to bring one up here. So I created a job posting for a staff accountant. So you're just looking for a staff accountant. It's pretty basic, right?
Mm-hmm.
But not in mine. In mine, it says our accountants aren't just number crunchers. They're big thinkers, creative problem solvers, and subject matter experts on what matters to our clients. They also never stop learning, are excited about helping people, and take pride in their profession.
Mm-hmm.
And it shows. So I'm not saying, hey, we need a staff accountant who could post entries into the books and close the books.
Mm-hmm.
And then instead of saying, it would be helpful if you have some QuickBooks Online experience, I say it would also be colossally helpful if you had some experience using in these areas.
Mm-hmm.
But no worries if you don't. We'll train you if you've got the ability to learn.
Right. And how do you test for those competencies, Morris, once you've got the candidate in front of you?
That's another whole question. I ask very specific technical questions that would enable me to determine what they know. So when I ask you, how well do you know Excel, and you tell me you're an expert, I'm going to ask you some pretty specific questions. And most people, when they answer that question, they say, well, I can do a pivot table. So, and that's the top level of their knowledge, which isn't really being an expert. In fact, I specifically rarely use pivot table. I use it once in a while, but that's not being an expert in Excel.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to ask some specific questions. And so when I'm interviewing you and you tell me you know something,
mm-hmm.
you really better know it, because I'll figure that out pretty quickly.
Do you ever offer to or ask for on-the-job testing? That's what we used to do when I was doing a little bit of recruiting for a couple of different companies. We were recruiting for a CFO at the time, and I asked every one of our candidates gave them a case study with a laptop and Excel and got them to solve a problem.
Right. We did do that when we were interviewing techs for my IT support business. Yes. So we do that. And by the way, there are a number of companies out there that you can send prospective candidates to be interviewed. Personally, for myself, I don't need to do that because mm-hmm. I have the background that I could just ask the right questions.
Right.
But for example, if I'm hiring a bookkeeper or an accountant or like the staff accountant, I have a question that I ask that will very quickly tell me how well you really understand accounting.
Mm-hmm.
And that question is, what's better, a debit or a credit? Right? It
depends.
I guarantee you, I will know very quickly how much you know about debits and credits. So, there's very few people that will ever get the answer right. I've probably interviewed 50 people, maybe 5 get it right.
So you're going to give us the answer?
No, because then the podcast will know the answer. And they might know how to answer the question. If you want the answer is it does depend. Obviously, it depends on the transaction, but it's not really the answer that's important.
Right.
What's really important is the thought process that I hear you going through, and your response as I interrogate you on the various levels of your coming to the answer, whether you eventually get it right. So it's a relatively technical accounting question, and it demonstrates whether you understand what's really happening with debits and credits and with your business versus I eventually tie in banks into your business and why you think a credit on the bank is good. when a credit is normally bad on the books?
It's all the old contra accounting.
Yes, but why is it contra accounting? It's not just because banks do it the opposite way. Why are they opposite? Banks don't have an opposite way of doing the books. They do the books the same way everybody else does their books. The question is why. In the final way I close my job posting for the staff accountant is, if you think you can balance out our team, please send your cover letter and resume to so-and-so. Are you the debit to our credit?
That's very creative, Morris. That's excellent.
If you think you can balance out our team, please send your cover letter. And speaking about cover letters, you might find this interesting. I was never successful in hiring a salesperson for my business. And I thought that was one of the areas that I always failed at. We try hiring salespeople. We'd let them work out, sometimes, well, always way too long, but sometimes as long as a year, not really bringing in any new business. But they're really great guys, right? Salespeople, they're great people. You want to like them, and that's what they do. Is they go meet people, and people like them and want to do business with them, but they just were never able to generate business. So, but one of the things, as I was hiring salespeople, I would sometimes get resumes from salespeople in an email, and they'd say, "I'm applying for your sales position," and I said to myself, "You're applying for my sales position, and you're just sending me a resume in an email, no cover letter, no text in your email. So you failed in your first demonstration of your competence. You couldn't even sell yourself, and you call yourself a salesperson." So a salesperson without a cover letter just doesn't go together, because that's the purpose of the cover letter, is to sell yourself.
It's counterintuitive, isn't it? So tell me about what you think was missing from a technical competence perspective when you hired these salespeople who weren't able to deliver. What's the missing piece? Is it a lack of understanding of the business, or of the product, of the process, of the client? What was missing, do you think?
That's one of the things. If I knew what was missing, I'd probably be able to find it, but I never was able to identify that. I don't think it was the technical understanding, because I don't think that good salespeople need to come from the industry that they're selling. First of all, you don't sell features, you sell benefits.
Right.
And you could learn the benefits. I really wish I knew the answer to that.
So who ended up being your best salesperson? Was it you?
Me. The IT support business, it's also sometimes called the MSP business, stands for managed services. But I never liked that word, because I don't even know what it means. What services are you managing? But people in our field, in the IT support business, sometimes we call ourselves MSPs, managed service providers. And in the managed service provider business, a lot of the sales is called principal-led selling. It's sold by the owners of the business. So we were talking about my hybrid skills, and while I did develop those hybrid skills while running my business, I always had that focus on benefits, on how to maximize the benefit to the client.
Similarly to the finance piece, where you're not just focused on the financial process, you're focused on, the benefit to the organization of these systems.
Yeah, I wasn't selling technology. I was selling how their company was going to run smoothly, and how they were going to get this information from the systems and processes that I was going to be implementing. I come from an accounting background, so I understand how accounting can be used to serve as a strategic foundation for growing the business. So maybe that was the issue, is that the salespeople didn't have this hybrid background in all the different skills, so they weren't really able to communicate effectively to the client why we were different from our competitors and why they should work with us. They just weren't able to instill the confidence that I could do. I mean, I could walk into almost any business and just look around and identify what this company needed to improve their systems and processes and make their lives easier.
Well, that's the benefit right there, making people's lives easier. I think that's the goal of any service provider, is to do that very thing. And it's the way that that value proposition is delivered in a very humanistic way. And, I recall a story about your company helping a large, I think it was a senior citizens, we talked about it in the bio. Was it a healthcare facility?
Yes, yes.
That was a big project you worked on, and I remember hearing about that somewhere.
Yes.
And I think that would be a really great example of how you deliver value. If you could maybe recap that story.
Yeah. Actually, that's interesting because two of my largest clients are called Apex. It's pretty interesting. Apex means the highest. I was just laughing now at how it pulls it all together. So this client owned. They didn't own nursing homes. They basically managed
Right.
nursing.
Yeah. Now I remember. Yeah.
Manage the outsourcing and the outsourcing of purchasing and IT and systems and even recruiting and hiring for a whole chain of nursing homes and multiple chains. So I think at the time they had about 40 nursing homes. Their goal was to get to, I think, maybe 1,000 nursing homes. So the nursing home chain asked this company to take over their management of their business. So they hired us to handle all the technology for these nursing homes and for their business to be able to manage their nursing homes. So we had to upgrade all of the technology that the former nursing home management company was using, and it was a giant project. We had probably 20 people deployed on this project, and some nights we worked till 2 a.m., I remember, and we were working inside of the old IT support company's facility, because there was a whole set of processes we had to do to migrate from the old IT's business to the systems that we were putting in place. And systems couldn't come down, because if systems came down, they wouldn't be able to service the nursing home residents. So we had to make sure that there was no drop in service. And we're also dealing with the nursing home users were not the most technologically proficient.
Mm-hmm.
So we had to do it in a way that wouldn't impact almost anything that they did. So it was a very, very complex process that we had all of our senior level engineers working on at the time.
Mm-hmm.
It took us about 6 months before we were finally able to move all the technology from the old company's data center to a new data center and essentially turn it over to our clients.
I believe there was no downturn in no loss of service whatsoever, service levels.
No downtime at all.
Yes, yes, that's a pretty big accomplishment, Morris.
Yeah, it was. We worked really, really hard. The client was so grateful. They brought us to a box at Yankee Stadium, presented us with an award.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, we were exhausted at the end, but it's always grateful, very gratifying to be able to provide this level of service to our clients.
And so, really, when you look at what you've been able to accomplish and the expertise around these hybrid skills, finance, operations, systems, and I guess the people part of it, which kind of pulls it all together. Tell us a little bit more about what you're doing now at, and I hope I say this correctly, Tech CXO?
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that.
So Tech CXO is a national organization. Actually, they've expanded already to the UK, so maybe they're an international organization of senior level C-suite executives with probably a minimum 25 to 35 years of experience. It started as Tech CFO, with senior level financial people. But then as they grew, they expanded to multiple C-suite disciplines. So now we're not just chief financial officers. We have chief marketing officers and technology officers and sales officers and chief product officers. So our organization is able to bring to clients a whole range of disciplines and skills from very experienced senior level team. And so I might start working with a client on maybe a 2-day a week outsourced CFO role. And as I'm working there, I'm realizing that the sales team just is not working effectively, and they really need some better sales management. So I'll bring in one of my partners who's a chief sales officer, and he will then start managing the sales team. And we also have a team of employed lower level staff to supplement the client. So if a client needs some bookkeepers or controller level people, we have those kinds of people who can contribute their skills as well to supplement, called, I guess, staff augmentation, supplement the client's existing staff until they're able to hire their own. So I go in, work as let's say a 2-day a week outsourced CFO, could be longer, maybe. And we have some clients that need interim CFO. So an interim engagement is where a client might hire a CFO full time for 3 months while the client embarks on a recruiting effort to bring in a full-time CFO.
And do you help with that, Morris?
Absolutely.
Oh, wonderful.
We would help, document the job description and do the interviewing and eventually be involved in the final selection. So
it really truly is a hybrid skill set that you bring to this process, for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, this is amazing. I'm just here looking at your resume. It's fantastic. So the fractional piece is what you were referring to. If somebody just needs a 2 days a week here, 2 days a week there, that type of thing. Is that what the fractional piece means?
Fractional would basically be 2 days a week every week. So it's a regularly scheduled engagement with this client. So you're working on their behalf. Every Monday and Wednesday you're dedicated to them for a full day, or it could be a half a day. Mm-hmm. We also do project work, like this work I'm doing on this consolidation. That's really a project. At some point, it's going to end.
Sure.
Although there are other things they may want me to do, and they'll put me on another project.
Sure.
So we have project, fractional, and interim.
Mm-hmm. So Morris, you've had an amazing career so far, and it's still going strong. What has surprised you most in your career so far?
I would say number one is the need for this hybrid skill set. I don't think you can really effectively perform your job without having a much broader picture of a client's requirements. For me to go in and only be able to handle the finances would be missing a huge part of what impacts a client's success. And that being the technology and HR and performance management and KPIs. So that's number one. Having this broad range of skills that I have is I think so critical. It's been so helpful to me in doing the work that I do. I think the next thing, being a go-giver. There's a book by Bob Burg called The Go-Giver, and it's a story, it's a fable about how this salesperson eventually realizes that by giving, he eventually will get. It's not a tit for tat kind of thing, but you focus on giving value to your clients, eventually you're going to get back. And one of the things that I endeavor to use is, so I have 100 partners within the TechCXO organization. I endeavor to give them as much as I can knowledge I have about technology solutions and share all kinds of solutions that I've learned about, both to make them more productive as well as to make their clients more productive. And I don't expect anything in return, but in fact, all of the business that I'm currently working on came from my tech CXO partners who have seen that I have the skill to be able to support the references that they've given me, the potential client references they've given me. So that's how I've gotten my business, is by sharing with them my technology background to help them and their other clients out. Mm-hmm. So I think being a go-giver will get you far. Another thing is, when I was interviewing at Tech CXO, I was actually recruited by a number of outsourced CFO companies where they wanted me to join their teams to be an outsourced CFO. But one of the things that I observed about Tech CXO during my recruiting process was how humble and giving every member of the team was. So I during my recruiting process, I interviewed probably 8 to 10 other partners and had a chance to ask them questions and learn more about how they built up their business at Tech CXO. And every one of them was so humble, and I got the sense that they were really giving people. And that's definitely has been true in my experience as I've met more and more partners. So go-giver and a sense of humility. And it's hard to talk about sense of humility because here I am talking about all my everything. So I feel a sense of conflict in even talking about humility.
Well, you can stop right there, and I'll just speak on your behalf because I've known you for a few years now, and I know that you are one of the most generous, colleagues and executives and leaders out there. And I've spoken to a number of your colleagues and clients and employees over the past couple of years, and they've all said the same thing. So that's really about your brand, your personal brand, Morris. And that speaks to your generosity and your willingness to serve as a resource to others. And, I think it's definitely on point. So there you go.
Thank you, Maureen.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
And I'd say the last thing that I believe was surprising is to never stop learning. There's always a tremendous amount to learn, mm-hmm. And I think it's so important that, especially for job seekers, I think, to make that really clear through examples, mm-hmm. not just by saying that I love learning and I focus on learning, mm-hmm. but give specific examples of what you've learned and how you go about learning. Because that is any organization is going to need their employees to be constantly learning. I had a client where the CEO was very growth oriented and focused on continuous learning, and I remember the CEO was very frustrated that their colleagues were not as focused on learning. And what this CEO did is they put a program in place. It was called Challenge, Learn, and Grow, CLG. And it was all about executing one learning initiative for the year. I mean, the more the better, but this program was about achieving one specific learning outcome during that year. And they rolled it out to the entire team, and the only people that didn't do it was the CEO's colleagues.
Wow!
I remember how the CEO.
Wow.
That was really the reason for doing it, was to get her colleagues to focus on growth and learning as well. But that is, the team loved it because the team loved having this challenge and having the whole company focused on a common goal of learning.
Mm-hmm. You can't beat it, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So, Morris, look, it has been such a pleasure having this conversation today. And before we close out the call, why don't you tell our listeners today how they can get in touch with you?
So they can get in touch with me very simply at firstname.lastname at techcxo.com. That's morris.stemp@techcxo.com. Or just go to my website, morrisstemp.com.
Yeah, it's a great website. So Morris, again, thank you so much for joining me here today. And I would like to extend a challenge to the listener who's listening here today. What are the top 3 takeaways from my conversation with Morris Stemp that you can implement in your own business today? So that's your takeaway challenge. And Morris, I'm going to close out the call now just to say thank you once again for lending your expertise, and we will, I'm sure, be in touch in the future.
Thank you, Maureen. I enjoyed sharing some of this with you, and I definitely look forward to speaking with you more as well.
Awesome. Take care, Morris.
Thanks for listening to Hired Up with Maureen Farmer. If you enjoyed the show today, please tell a friend and write a review for us. For customized resources to help you get hired up to your next C-level position, visit westgatecareercoaching.com. Do you struggle to find words for emails, phone calls, and job applications for your C-level job search? Get our CEO Script Vault, job search scripts for busy executives to help you get hired up. Kindle edition available on Amazon.com. We'd love to welcome you into the Westgate family of success stories.